Today, we're going to completely dismantle basically everything you thought you knew about building routines. Honestly, I want you to forget motivation, forget sheer willpower, and definitely forget those fleeting New Year's resolutions. We're looking at the pure mechanical engineering of how human behavior actually works. Because if you want to build better habits, you have to stop relying on just wishing for things to change and start looking at the cold, hard wiring of your daily life.
Okay, I want you to let this number sink in for a second. 40%. About 40% of everything you do today is not a conscious decision. It's literally an automatic program running perfectly on autopilot. You didn't consciously choose to reach for your phone the very moment you woke up. You didn't actively plot the route you drove to work or choose your exact reaction when something went wrong today. Your brain did all of that for you, using code you wrote through years of just blind repetition.
So here's exactly why that 40% matters so much. If nearly half of your life is running on absolute autopilot, well then the quality of your habits is the quality of your life. It's not your goals, it's not your good intentions, and it is definitely not your motivation on a really good day. It all comes down to the automatic behaviors that execute whether you're paying attention to them or not.
Section 1. The Neurological Habit Loop.
Okay, let's dive into this and look under the hood. We really need to demystify the actual machinery of the brain here, because once you understand how this engine works, you can finally start to steer it. Every single habit in your brain follows this exact three-step loop. Step 1 is the cue. This is a trigger, maybe a time of day, a location, or an emotion that tells your brain to initiate a behavior. Step 2 is the routine. That's the behavior itself. And step 3 is the reward, the positive feeling your brain gets that makes it want to repeat this whole loop next time. According to MIT neurologist Anne Grabiel, once this brilliant loop is established, your brain essentially goes offline. It stops actively thinking to save massive amounts of mental energy. It's honestly a spectacular evolutionary feature. The only problem? It works equally well for your good habits, like running, and your terrible ones, like doom scrolling at 2 a.m.
And this loop reveals exactly why we fail. Most of us focus entirely on that middle part, the routine. We try to just brute force a new behavior, using willpower alone. But willpower is a highly finite resource. By mid-afternoon, it's completely depleted. So if you want to build better habits that actually stick, you've got to abandon willpower and lean into design. If you intentionally design the cue and the reward, the routine will eventually just run itself.
Moving on to Section 2, hijacking your cues.
All right, let's get into our first set of actionable strategies and see how this builds. We know what the problem is, so let's shift gears and look at the actual solutions to hijack those triggers. Our first method is habit stacking. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, describes this as linking habits into a continuous chain. The formula is incredibly simple but wildly effective. After I do X, I will do Y. Instead of trying to just invent a new cue out of thin air, you attach your new behavior to an existing one that already has a cue, routine, and reward built into your day. You are literally borrowing the neurological infrastructure of an old habit to build a brand new one.
Look at how seamless this is in practice, right? After I pour my morning coffee, I'll read for 10 minutes. Or after I sit down at my desk, I'll write 3 gratitudes. After I brush my teeth at night, I'll stretch for 5 minutes. The existing habit becomes this undeniable trigger for the new one. And listen, if you master just one stack for 2 weeks and then add another link, within 3 months you can have a highly complex, powerfully productive morning sequence running without a single drop of willpower. And this brilliantly illustrates our next principle, choice architecture. This is huge. Your behavior is a product of your environment far more than your character. Let me say that again, because honestly, it's so freeing. Your behavior is about your environment, not your character. Behavioral economists use this concept to show that we can actually design our physical spaces so that the behavior we want becomes the absolute path of least resistance.
Notice the really sharp contrast in this approach. If you want to build a habit, make it visible. Toss those running shoes right by the door. Put your journal literally on your pillow so you actually have to move it to go to sleep. Keep healthy food at eye level. Conversely, to break a habit, you add friction. Just delete the app. Leave the phone in a totally different room. Put the junk food on the highest, most annoying shelf to reach. You see, you aren't fighting your impulses here. You're systematically redesigning the battlefield so that your natural laziness actually works in your favor.
Section 3. Hacking the routine.
So, we've hijacked the cues and we've redesigned the environment. But how do we tackle the actual behavior? Well, when you're starting a new habit, it must take less than 2 minutes to complete. This is the 2-minute rule. Now listen carefully. This 2-minute version is not your final goal.
Obviously, you aren't going to get in shape by working out for 120 seconds a day, though, hey, that would be nice. But it is the essential gateway. It's designed specifically to bypass that heavy initial friction of starting. You want to make starting so incredibly easy that it feels completely absurd to skip it.
Just look at these entry points. Read every night simply becomes read one single page. Do yoga becomes just roll out the mat. Study a language becomes just open the app. Because the most important thing about a new habit isn't how perfectly you do it. It's that you show up at all. Every single time you show up, you cast a vote for your new identity. And as we know from growth mindset principles, sustainable habits are always built on identity. The resistance is pretty much always at the beginning, not the middle. Once that mat is rolled out, you'll probably just go ahead and do the yoga.
But hey, what if the habit is still just a total drag? Enter temptation bundling. This is a brilliant concept from behavioral economist Catherine Milkman over at the University of Pennsylvania. Her research looked at gym goers and found a fascinating shortcut. People who were only allowed to listen to their favorite audiobooks while working out actually went to the gym significantly more often. They linked a habit they wanted to build with an activity they already absolutely loved.
And you can literally apply this instantly. Say you only let yourself listen to your absolute favorite podcast while you're doing the housework, or you only watch that specific great show while you're folding the laundry, only drink your favorite expensive coffee while you're journaling. Over time, that positive association actually transfers. You engineer your brain to genuinely look forward to doing the hard work. And man, that is a fundamentally different relationship with self-improvement than most people ever get to experience. Section 4. The visual streak.
All right, we've got the cue, we've got the routine, and we've got the reward. Now we enter the final tactical phase: maintenance, momentum, and survival. How do we actually keep this alive? Well, you might have heard this famous anecdote about the comedian Jerry Seinfeld. He used a massive wall calendar and a thick red marker. Every single day he sat down and wrote jokes, he put a big red X on that date. His only goal? Don't break the chain. The visual streak itself became the reward. And this isn't just a fun story. Research from the Dominican University of California actually confirms that people who visually track their goals are significantly more likely to achieve them. Progress needs to be visible.
But look, here's the stark reality of tracking things. Eventually, you are going to have a day where you miss. It happens. And when that happens, you need to remember this exact phrase. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. The very moment you miss a day, your absolute only priority in life is showing up the very next day. Do the 2-minute version. Do it terribly. It doesn't matter. Just do not let the miss become a pattern. Because a perfect record is an illusion. A habit that actually survives imperfection, that is what makes it real.
Which brings us to Section 5. Systems over goals.
We've covered the mechanics, so now I want to bring this all together into the core philosophy that should really shift your entire worldview on self-improvement. So the crucial point is this absolute truth. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Read that again. Goals are simply the results you wish for. Systems are the actual habits that gets you there. Without the system, the goal is literally nothing but a wish.
Just look at the toolkit you have now. You can stack habits onto existing cues. You can architect your physical environment to make success practically inevitable. You can bypass friction by starting in under 2 minutes. You can bundle hard work with temptations you already love. And you can track it visually, ensuring you never miss twice. Listen, these aren't just fluffy motivational quotes. These are rigorous engineering principles.
You already have habits running your life today, right now, and every single one of them was built through blind repetition. So the only question now is, are you going to let your autopilot continue to dictate your future? Or will you finally take the wheel and engineer your own success? What is the one habit you'll systematically build this week? Think about it, pick one, and drop your answer in the comments below.